All right, we will get to the next story, which is an interesting one. I see that chat has been, blowing up, of course, about a little bit of this, and I guess, Bored Ape Nazi ideology theory that has come out in a kind of massive YouTube unveil here that I'll pull up. This comes from the account Philion as well as a guy named Ryder Rips. So they put it together like an hour video that is essentially what would be called, for people who maybe don't believe it, a conspiracy theory. Others, it's kind of an unveiling. I have the link in the description if you want to actually check it out. But to kind of go over the essential pieces, this guy Philion essentially put together this video as well as a blog post here by, and I think this blog post was actually by Ryder Rips, but essentially they were working together to unveil that Bored Ape has all of these Nazi and racist affiliations. There's, a long list here, 1 through I think 12, that kind of lay out why Bored Ape is, based on all of this ideology. So you can see they make a little bit of not recommendation, but they call out that the Bored Ape logo looks a lot like the Waffen SS logo. Yuga Labs actually is based on this Kali Yuga element or term that's used by the alt-right. Gargamel has some type of affiliation with anti-Semitism. The list goes on and on, down all the way to the fact that the other side in Bored Ape Yacht Club launched on the day Hitler died. Some of these are a little bit more far-fetched than others, but overall, it hit Twitter like a freaking hurricane yesterday. Now, this might be something that's gone in a week, but essentially what you have here is the largest NFT project in the space dealing with the fact that people are calling them out for being, anti-Semitists, Nazis, racism, allegations, all this stuff. So want to get your guys' take. I know it's a touchy subject, but what are your thoughts on this movement or this trending hashtag burn BAYC here and this entire story?
Man, I don't know. It's stuff like this where it's so blatantly a conspiracy theory makes it hard for me to kind of hop on, right? A lot of it seems very, seems like a coincidence, right? Like the logo as a good example. And it seems to be one of those things where as you kind of like dig deeper into the quote unquote evidence, there's stuff that you can very kind of easily argue against the other way, right? So I'll give you an example. So one of their points is that they launched BAYC on the day that Hitler died. Well, why wouldn't you launch it on the day he was born, right? So it's like stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, yes, but there's like a 1 in 365 chance that they do this. If had they done it on the day that some other dictator died, I'm sure there would be interesting ways that you could kind of connect that dictator or that that awful event with that there, right? So you're seeing something here with the Starbucks logo and Panda Express, right? Like it's not something that worries me too, really. I mean, I think it can be dangerous if too many people kind of get behind it and start pushing it. Crypto's rampant with false narratives and kind of fake narratives, so you have to be careful there. But long term, I don't think it will have an effect. Of course, they're going to kind of push it during NFT NYC because they're going to try to get as many hits and as much interest around NFTs then. But I would bet that most people at Ape Fest or most people with a BAYC are going to kind of look at this and and kind of shrug it off and be like, listen, we've heard this story before. Like, I see your evidence here. And it's just, it's not kind of something that I'm willing to go down the rabbit hole with you on. So.
Yeah. And I think from like a logic perspective, again, with me not being too ingrained in the Bored Ape ecosystem, like even if you make the argument that like, okay, whoever launched Bored Ape or the people that launched Bored Ape didn't know it was going to be a huge success and this was their motive, like all of the due diligence that's gone into the money that they've raised and everything, you'd think that something from somebody's past who's planning to do something like that would come up and be a huge red flag. So it seems like kind of one of those headline getters, uh, and also kind of like copium for anybody that didn't get into Bored Ape, as well as anybody that isn't in NFTs. And like these narratives, I think that's like the most impact that it has, is probably just another headline for the people that aren't in NFTs. Now they can see something and they're just bombarded with kind of like the negative headlines. So there's another negative headline that comes out around something that is a huge project they've probably heard of before.
The other piece to this story, which, you know, if anybody was kind of on the fence about whether to believe this or not, kind of throws it through a loop, is the fact that the Ryder Rips, who was an essential part of this story, launched an NFT project based on BAYC that did the most volume in the NFT space yesterday. Right, so it was, you know, great timing to launch this. I'm going to pull this up on my screen, but this was a screenshot here from the volume that they did yesterday. It looks like 3,267 ETH volume, and they were the top in the space. So if anybody was on the fence here, in my opinion, the fact that this collection came out and it was solely based on, as you can see, ripping off the exact IP that they were actually condemning, that's where I would kind of follow on the other side. So I didn't watch the entire hour-long video. I got the, you know, I read the entire blog post. I read all the accusations there. But, you know, as much as there were a lot of claims there, this action here of creating hype to drop then a collection based on that initial IP kind of throws me over to one side.
How long until there's like a funky algorithmic token associated with some of these NFT projects where it just trades up or down based on floor price going up or down? Because that screams like the easiest short of all time, right? This guy's like clearly ripping off IP, putting together this wild story behind a conspiracy theory that has already existed, and like you said, probably already has a handful of people who are willing to kind of literally buy into it by buying into a new non-Nazi BAYC here. So yeah, I'm with you, right? It's like when you start to connect financial gain to your you know, your conspiracy theory or your evidence, then it's hard to take it seriously.